Welcome viewers to a brand new episode of Insight with Aftab Siddiqui. Today we are discussing क्या इंडिया की पॉपुलेशन एडवांटेज है या डिसएडवांटेज उसके लिए. मेरे साथ इस वक्त स्टूडियो में है तिरुपति पटेल, प्रेसिडेंट हिंदू फोरम ऑफ ब्रिटेन, एंड मिस्टर जे लखानी, द फर्स्ट हिंदू टीचर अपॉइंटेड टू ईटन कॉलेज. वेलकम टू द शो. तिरुपति, माय फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन, आप क्या समझती हैं, क्या एडवांटेज या डिसएडवांटेज है पॉपुलेशन का? इट्स 1.34 बिलियन द लास्ट टाइम आई चेक्ड.
यस, करेक्ट. आई थिंक पहले वो देखना चाहिए कि ये 1.3 बिलियन है क्यों. तो चाइना और इंडिया दोनों की आप कल्चर देखें, हमारा जो सिविलाइजेशन है वो 5000 साल से भी पुराना है. और जब भी ये पृथ्वी पे ये जो हमारा कल्चर है, हमारे लोग हैं यहाँ पहले से है, तो और बाकी के देशों की कंपैरिजन में उसका पॉपुलेशन ज़्यादा
तो
ही होगा.
आपका कहने का मकसद है कि वो जो प्रॉपर ऑर्गेनिक ग्रोथ है वो चलती चली आ रही है और इसकी वजह से पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ कंट्रोल नहीं हो पा रही.
हाँ, वो चलती चली आ रही है. और अभी जो मॉडर्न डेज में आप देखें, लास्ट जब से इंडिपेंडेंस के पहले से जो सेंसस आया 1800s के एंड में जो सेंसस आया, तब से हम लोग देखें तो बहुत ही तरक्की हुई है कि एनवायरमेंटल सिचुएशन में, सस्टेनेबल सिचुएशन में. तो लोगों की जो पहले जो एज थी, जो उम्र थी हमारी, कि जिसमें
लॉन्जेविटी बढ़ी है.
हाँ,
बट पृथ्वी, देयर इज एन इशू बिकॉज आप कहते हैं कि लॉन्जेविटी बढ़ी तो दैट इज इंक्रीजिंग द पॉपुलेशन, बट दूसरी तरफ हमारे पास ग्रोथ रेट बहुत ज्यादा है. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट 1.8, 2.4, जोन से भी आप स्टडी उठाएं, इट्स अ वेरी हायर फर्टिलिटी रेट एंड पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ रेट. व्हाट डू यू से, Jay, how we can control that, or is it needed to be controlled at all?
No, let me tell you, there's a misunderstanding that population growth is the biggest problem of India. In fact, it is not true. The greatest resource any nation can have is not its material forces. The greatest resource for any nation is its humanity, the human beings. The only problem is this: if this population growth is well controlled, well organized, it becomes a major advantage for that nation.
Yep.
If it is disorganized, it produces squalor. So this is what we see. So according to me, without any hesitation, I say greater the population, better. This is humanity kind of controlling nature, kind of harnessing nature for its betterment. So nothing wrong with greater population. It's only that if
लेकिन I'll stop Jay here basically, sorry, but the issue is कि हम कहते हैं कि जी ठीक है, humanity है, we have to increase population, but the thing is कि अगर यही humanity होती तो फिर चाइना वन चाइल्ड पॉलिसी क्यों लेता? वो एक अरसे तक चाइना वन चाइल्ड पॉलिसी लेके चला because they wanted to control the population in order to grow. हमारे पास इंडिया में ये है कि ये शायद पॉपुलेशन ड्रैग कर रही है हमारी ग्रोथ को.
No, let me say, this is a very interesting thing to explore, because you see, because China used this particular policy, the situation as present is as follows. The greatest, youngest population in the world means people who are below the age of 25. The greatest population of people below the age of 25 is India at the moment. And the greatest number of people below the age of, say, 35, 65% of the population is below the age of 35. This means this is a very powerful workforce available, provided you are able to harness this workforce and use it for the betterment. Can I make one other comment? This is very important. You see, the wonderful thing that we discovered in modern India is this: that womankind have been unshackled from the kitchen. For the first time, we see the women force coming in full flow into the mainstream. People say, why is India a major power? I said, the reason is because you allowed the women to start working for the betterment of the nation, and you unshackle them from the kitchen. So this is why the nation is kind of prospering very well.
I think that's fine that the population is growing, and there's urbanization, which you say basically, because one output of urbanization in social demographic basically aspect is कि आपको ज़्यादा women force उसमें मिलेगी, work force में ज़्यादा women मिलेगा. लेकिन आप जब हमारे इंडिया की population देखते हैं तो you are talking about 1.34 billion, and there are only 300 to 400 million people who are urbanized. Why do you think that we are not able to bring people out of poverty? Is it due to the drag on the population?
No,
or is it something else?
Well, I think there are lots and lots of factors about it. But at the moment, if we look at from the colonial time, they have always taken human resource, as we talked about it, is so important. And if you look at the British Raj, they took the young Indians who were just doing the colleges, just passed their exams, matriculation in those days, they would take them round the world. You look at it, the African Railway was built by the Indian, the administration in the British Raj was done by Indians, Fiji, Mauritius, if you look at Caribbean.
But those were menial jobs, you know.
No,
What
they were
Tripiti has is that we have moved on. There's less of menial jobs.
Let me finish. They were not just menial jobs. They were holding up good positions. They were administrators of the large areas. Now, what it is if you have the dependency ratio, what you call a dependency ratio, is the percentage of the young people to the older people. So if we look in the UK, why did the government raise our pension age?
Yes, exactly.
So at the moment in India, it looks fantastic that the dependency ratio is really not just balanced, but is on the higher side.
But the government is not providing dependence services to the old people. It's the family which is providing. So that family unit is very strong in our country.
No,
Can I come in on this?
I come from Gujarat, and when you look at the situation, Gujarat is a 5% population of whole India. Yeah, but if you look at the GDP, is quite high. Now you look at the young people working in all the industries, and we visit quite often various industries and various events all across the India. Yeah. So as you raise the question of Kerala and question of Gujarat and other states, Kerala, if you compare Kerala, you have to compare it with Meghalaya. Yeah. Now in the Meghalaya, that state has got 29% of the population growth, while Kerala's got lower.
Lowest, because of the education, I believe, and more local issues.
So,
What do you want to?
Yeah, in fact, a lot of people think that the population growth means, this is, I'm quoting Churchill, Indians like to multiply like rabbits.
No, but I think that was off the mark basically. Yeah, उसका ये कहना बिल्कुल चर्चिल ने कई ऐसी बातें कही.
And what I'm saying is, people somehow feel that we just can breed and kind of don't know. In reality, this is the fact. In ancient times, the only asset a family could have was not the money, was children.
That's where I'm sort of struggling to find out, because हम लोग अब एक नए एरा में मूव कर रहे हैं. इंडिया की जो अर्बन पॉपुलेशन है वो बेसिकली जो शहर में है वो टेलीकम्युनिकेशन, आईटी, फोन ओरिएंटेड इंडस्ट्रीज में, which are less of sort of labor intensive. Just give me a minute. I'll remind my viewers, if you want to call, the lines are open. Please make your questions brief. Call us and be part of this debate, and then you will be able to understand what is the issues regarding Indian population, its growth, whether it would help the country to grow further or whether it would be a drag. That's what we are discussing today, or we are waiting for your calls. Yeah, Jay, sorry, go ahead.
You see, for example, as you quite rightly found out, that in Kerala the population growth is less, while in other lesser perhaps educated areas, population growth. The reason is because this is the only asset they have they can rely on in their old age.
Agrarian kind of society.
It was a necessary way for them to somehow get some kind of support in their old age.
So
Can I want something else very important? You see, we don't recognize that really humanity, provided it is well organized, can become a major force.
You've taken my next question.
I'm very good at this.
No, that's it. I think we agree that there is at the moment. I think we agree at this point of the discussion. There's a possibility of using population for further growth. It's a good thing. But the issue is what Jay just said. Is किस तरह उस पॉपुलेशन को हम ऑर्गेनाइज करें? Do the government have the resources and will to invest money into education, health, employment opportunities, training opportunities, and helping women to be more part of the economic activity? ये हो पा रहा है कि नहीं? Provided ये कि अभी recently Indian government ने education and health का budget कम किया है. And when India does compare it with the BRIC countries, China and Brazil are investing more into their health systems than India. So वो एक जो I think priorities की जो kind of जंग है कि priority क्या है? Is it priority to give people the education and health, or is there something else is the priority?
Yeah.
Where do you think things are a bit muddled up? Basically?
I think there is fundamental understanding that people need to realize. India has got a system. It's like you have a federal government, and you have the state governments. And people forget that when they talk about government, everybody automatically assumes is the government sitting in the Delhi. You look at the example of the Delhi Delhi Authority, they have underspent something like 200 something crore that it was given to them. Yeah. So,
which is the Aam Aadmi Party.
So what we need to understand.
Are we having a political debate here? I think we are.
We are not going into political debate.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to explain to you is that, see, before the British Raj, the way the education system worked was Gurukul systems, the purely sustainable, environmentally friendly way of living.
Yes,
it was,
not possible
but
now,
it's not possible now.
I think in modern
Absolutely
era,
not.
I think even in Delhi, they have to stop.
Yeah.
Today there was a major event which has to be stopped because of the environmental issue,
Yes,
smog in the
absolutely,
environment,
absolutely.
and they had to
But
stop
I'm
the.
coming, so I'm coming back to it, that what we need to do, and is going in the correct way, is that the mass migration, the Maharashtra state has got the largest migration from the country in Mumbai. That comes on the top, and then Delhi comes second. So when we think
urban cities,
so when we think about it, it's the development of the rural areas, how you connect rural areas, and the energy and infrastructure of the rural areas, and how do you have the education skilling up is the major issue.
I think you're right, but my question still remains there: that has the government got the priorities right? Can I have an answer from you?
Government has got priorities right, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to think holistically in terms of when you do a Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme. Part of that, in January when I was in Goa, people came back and the women had 1 lakh rupees for being under the threshold. They all received that. They all put the money for their girl child to go to proper schools and study. So when you got the whole system thinking out of the box, you can't say taking it from one side and then putting it into another one. You have to be very careful in the holistic approach, and that's what I think is happening at the moment.
I think my concern is when we look at the growth rate, basically that 17% of the women, basically, having within a childbearing age and have got more than 3 children, and it's just sort of in a way, and as a big country, as a large country as India, that 70% accounts for a lot.
Yes.
So, Jay, what do you think? Like, is there a better chance that we have to put more resources behind?
Let me tell you.
Behind the idea of sort of creating more empowered human beings and humanity more empowered in their own right, basically.
Now, let me tell you why we have got ourselves in a scholar. That's blunt way of addressing the issue. This nation is one of the most ancient civilizations on the face of the earth. Tremendous reputation. Over the last historic period, perhaps the only nation that comes at top of the world as the best, most highly civilized nation over thousands of years has been this lovely nation called India.
Indus Valley, yes.
Fine. Now, what has happened is this. What has really gone wrong is as follows. Last time when I was here, I said Gandhi made one mistake of partitioning this marvelous nation, because the Hindus and Muslims were living well with each other, and the partition has created a permanent rift. And these two nations are at each other's. There's one mistake. And CB was very upset with me, of course, understandably. And today I'm going to say something else, and CB is not here, unfortunately. Gandhi's second mistake, very serious mistake for which that nation is paying heavy price today, is as follows. He somehow, because he's got this Western education, and he found Nehru, kind of la-di-da from the public school. I teach at public school, so I know what la-di-da means.
Not far from where we are at the moment.
Now, what happens is Gandhi goes charmed by Nehru, saying this is the person who will take us into the next century, modernize. In fact, that was the biggest mistake of Gandhi, because what happens is this. Nehru's focus was very much, if you like, on a model which does not fit in with the, if you like, the inner structure of that nation. That nation is essentially spiritually oriented. So if you ask it to adopt a secular kind of model, it's going to fail. I'll give you an example, silly example. Suppose your shoe size is 9, and somebody asks you to wear a 5-size shoe, then you become disabled. That's what's happened since the independence. That nation has been disabled because they adopted the wrong model. If you go back to a kind of,
Jay, in terms of that, we had that centralized kind of planning planning for India, which was very much sort of in line with 5 years, 10 years plan, and every country has gone through that. But I'm at this point of time, what really sort of is the point of departure for us to take this discussion into the next stage is that India has got this demographic dividend, that youth population. But then when I talk to the many Western sort of companies who want to invest and who want to sort of part of the of India, then they say, what is the per capita income? How much money they have as a disposable? So how do you think that if the GDP grows, but we've got a wider population, how does that converts into more consumers and consumers who can spend more?
Well, if you look at it, like if you go to India every year, like most of us do, you can see the stark difference in how the things are progressing, improving, the whole material, the tax system. Look at the tax system which has been just done now, and if you do a rounded approach in terms of sorting out, simplifying lives of people, then obviously people prosper. Because in my grandmother's day, most of the things were done by barter, when she was young. Nowadays, we have everything done by electronically, So when you look at the telecom industry, it's such a beautiful example of telecom industry. They have many of the areas in the rural areas and small towns. They have bypassed these telephone lines.
Okay.
All on the cell phones.
No, I think you're right.
And if you look at that, how many cell phone companies are there? Similarly, I think look at the solar energy. You go to small villages, they might not have electric line, but they have the solar panels on their roofs.
No, I think that is definitely a development which across, I think the environmental issue is definitely becoming a challenge also. And as you're saying that we are using the solar energy to empower people in the villages, उनके गांव के अंदर. अब मतलब मुझे जो चीज़ एक दूसरी environment की जो लिहाज से नजर आ रही है जी, कि आप समझते हैं कि being a large population, इंडिया को वो जो 2% की जो ग्लोबल रेट है ऑफ टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज उसको मेंटेन कर सकेगा, या यू थिंक वो इंडिया वुड नॉट बी एबल टू सॉर्ट ऑफ एग्री, दे हैव एग्रीड बट नॉट डिलीवर टू द पेरिस एग्रीमेंट?
It's going to be very difficult. It's a very poor nation. They're going to struggle, so they will try. They'll have difficulty. But can I say something else which I wanted to come on? You see, one of the biggest problems modern India faces, and we must be very blunt about it, is considered to be one of the most corrupt nations in the world. Okay, one of the most corrupt. It's bobbing at the bottom of the league. There's a league table. We are bobbing at the bottom, and you say, what's gone wrong? This nation is supposed to be highly
I think what's gone wrong is people do not have jobs.
No.
So the corruption and crime are
I'm telling you. I'm telling you the reason. The reason is this: the focus of that nation over thousands of years was essentially spiritual, and when you adopt a secular model, then automatically what happens? I'll give you an example. Today I can teach Hinduism at every school in the United Kingdom. I can teach, to Eton, Harrow, everywhere.
Yes.
I cannot teach Hinduism to a single Hindu school in India today. So what happened is, in the name of secularism, we pulled out the very backbone of that nation, spirituality, and say, no, religion, we are secular. Here we are a secular nation. I can teach Hinduism in every school, and I do. I go to hundreds of schools. So here, this is mature secularism, saying there is role of religion, morality, ethics, etc., which will make sure corruption does not enter society. So they allow religions to be taught in every school. It was compulsory until now, until Michael Gove. It was compulsory. Every school until the age of 18 had to. Now they are, because of Michael Gove just pulled it out. But thing is, they value the importance of ethical and moral teaching, which comes in the name of all religions, not Hinduism, all religions, and that has been compromised in the name of secularism in India, and that is why that nation went down the hill, because corruption becomes the name of the game.
I think coming back to what Jay has said, I think we talk about being youth population, which is a very good thing, because you've got people who could be employed, people who could be trained, people who could be part of जो economic अपना जो circle है उसमें वो contribute कर सकते हैं. But when on the other hand, basically जब हम ये देखते हैं कि ये इन लोगों को वो education में अगर government नहीं spend कर पा रही, even BRICS standard से देखें ब्राज़ील और चाइना से कम spend करें, तो do we have a hope कि वो लोग economic activity में हिस्सा ले सकेंगे, या जैसे जे कह कह रहे हैं कि वो क्राइम और करप्शन की तरफ
नहीं
जाएंगे।
नहीं, एक बात बहुत ही समझने की है कि आप जहाँ भी जाएंगे तो एक ऐसी सिचुएशन अभी बनी है कि इतने सारे जो लोग हैं जो प्रोफेशनली कोई भी प्रोफेशन में होते हैं, जैसे मैं सिविल इंजीनियर हूँ, आप फिजिसिस्ट हैं, तो जहाँ भी आप जाएंगे पूरी दुनिया में से एक इंडिया में जो भी NGOs चलते हैं, जो भी एजुकेशनल एस्टेब्लिशमेंट्स है, वहाँ लोग कनेक्ट करते हैं, जम के पैसा देते हैं पढ़ाई के लिए। सो जो ऑर्फन बच्चेज होते हैं, जो आप एक दीदी माँ का दाखला लीजिए, रीतांबरी देवी का, तो वो जो आश्रम चलाते हैं,
पॉपुलेशन का जो क्वांटम है,
आप पहले मेरी बात सुन लीजिए,
जो हमारा जो चैरिटी सेक्टर है बेचारा कितना डिलीवर
नहीं, आप पहले मेरी बात सुन लीजिए, क्योंकि हम कोई भी, जैसे दीदी माँ है, जैसे हमारे यहाँ जैसे नहीं, वो आश्रम की तरह नहीं, ये लोग जो स्कूल्स चलाते हैं वो प्रोफेशनली स्कूल चलाते हैं, और वो स्कूल्स में पढ़ाई भी सबकी होती है, और रिगार्डलेस ऑफ द रिलीजन, ठीक है, वो सेंट मैरीज है या कोई भी आश्रम की स्कूल है या संत कोई भी स्कूल है, तो वो होती है। तो एजुकेशन हमारे रग में है, इट इज इन अवर DNA to get education.
I understand that, but the issue is कि where government is not delivering, then these things come up and they take we'll just have a caller on the line. Please go ahead with your question.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead with your question. You're online.
हाँ जी, आपका भाई, very good program. Very enjoying this new look of Reed and companion. Very good.
Thank you very much.
और मुझे बोलना था कि जो डिस्कशन हो रहा है उस पर यही बोलना था कि इंडिया का पॉपुलेशन जो है, you're saying like अभी 25 years के अंडर है majority of the population. So obviously after 40 years or so, the young people will become pensioners, and then they will become a burden kind of a way. Because obviously the young people are contributing now, and then when they become old, then they need looking after. Obviously, the state would have to, somehow or the other way, have to pay for the.
Yeah.
So the point is that even though if we celebrate just having young people now, it might, after 40 years' time, that might be not the same case.
I think I'll ask Jay to contribute that, but before Jay starts, I just tell you, people who are 40 years now, probably they'll be more fit and healthy, and probably they will not be retiring till they are in their 60s or 70s. Jay, over to you.
Yes, you see, of course, everything happens in cycles. So you can have a kind of very positive time at the moment with a lot of young population, which will grow greatly, etc. But another point I want to raise, and important, is this. You see, we suffer and we say that, well, look, this nation seems to have gone right down the tube. You know, corruption is the name of the game. In reality, every civilization nation has got ups and downs. Absolutely. We are seeing a down, and we are beginning now, fortunately, I suspect, we are seeing an upturn. So I have got not faith in some God in heaven, I have got faith in humanity. And human beings in India, I have tremendous faith. These are innovative, hardworking, honest, lovely people, provided this kind of external, that they're adopting this secular model has to be kicked out and a spiritual model re-adopted.
But this secular model gave us the IT industry. This secular model gave us the skills to sort of, to work in New York and London, wherever you could see, you could see an Indian leading the way in the IT industry.
You know what's happened? You got a huge difference between have and have-nots. So all these kind of people who are very clever at secular, phenomena, secular kind of industry, are now living off the blood and sweat of the lower rungs of society. So you got a huge gap of have and have-nots, and this is the price we pay for just adopting secular model without taking into account the greater humanity. So the lower rungs of society are sweating and killing themselves for the benefit of just this upper crust.
So you mean say we are losing that ethical element of humanity.
Yes.
और उस करके basically हमारे यहाँ पे जो situation बन रही है वो ये बन रही है कि थोड़ा सा जो माशरे में थोड़ा सा तनाव पैदा हो गया. There's a bit of tension between have and have nots. But देखिए poverty को हम कैसे कर सकेंगे? Because government जो है वो 1.34 billion लोगों को सारी amenities प्रोवाइड करना is probably challenging. तो does it go down to the population number as of today कि हम इसी तरह कंटिन्यू करें या हम इसको रोकें?
नहीं, क्या है, like I said to you, I've been brought up in with the posters of हम दो हमारे दो, ठीक है? और if you look at our older generation, they used to have 4 to 6 kids. Then it came to my parents' generation with 2 to 3, and then the younger generation probably have just 2 or 1 baby.
पर प्रॉब्लम ये है कि वो जो 2 वाला जो मामला है उसमें जिसके 4 बच्चे हैं उसको पता नहीं वो 2 कौन से वाले अच्छे हैं उसके अंदर।
लेकिन जो आप बात कर रहे हैं, तो वो जो पहले आप अगर टाटा का एग्जांपल ले, टाटा इज देयर फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम, ठीक है? और टाटा का जो सोशल
पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ में कुछ नहीं किया आपको। He is the one person who has not contributed to population growth of India.
अगर that's true, Ratan ji hasn't.
Yeah.
But when you look at the social concept and the social responsibility of the corporations, not just the governments, yeah.
What's the
See,
value?
in this country, we have a compulsory section 278 agreements when we have planning applications,
Yeah,
ठीक है? और उसको हमको we have to then obey by it.
Yeah.
Now in India, they have started that. So started with the corporations having their responsibility into how to make sure that they don't come out of it and the profit doesn't just go
so
to the
SRI basically sort of your socially responsible investments.
तो वो जो टाटा का जो पहले का मॉडल था, और जो गवर्नमेंट के यहाँ भी ऐसा है कि if a government employee loses the life, then the family gets employed and
But
all
ma'am,
that, you know,
I'll
वो change करना चाहिए.
I'll bring you back to one situation. You know, I am an average Indian. I live in outskirts of Delhi basically, not in Gongong, a little bit further down basically. मेरे पास इस वक्त जो मेरे पास इस वक्त 6 बच्चे हैं, मेरी तनख्वाह 6,000 की है, मैं कैसे गुजारा करूंगा? तो that is where my, अगर मेरे 3 बच्चे होंगे तो I'll be able to manage my budget. मेरे 2 होंगे तो I'll be much. तो मुझे बताएं कि what is where should we stop the population growth or should we let it live as it is?
मैं बताऊं, एक बहुत ही अच्छी बात हो रही है थ्रू आउट द इंडिया. ये जो पंचायत है ना, ग्राम पंचायत, तो वहाँ उसमें बहनों को एनकरेज कर रहे हैं, उसकी कमिटीज बनती है, और कितने 235 लास्ट टाइम व्हेन आई हर्ड इट वाज 235 पंचायत एट द विमेन ग्राम पंचायत, द व्हाट वी कॉल मेयर्स, या. एंड वो जो एजुकेशन का जो प्रोग्राम है उसका, तो वो बहुत ही आगे बढ़ रहा है ग्रास रूट लेवल पे, ठीक है? तो जो ग्रास रूट लेवल पे जो ये एजुकेशन का प्रोग्राम बन रहा है, वहाँ से ये सीख होती है कि थोड़ा सा जो जय भाई ने कहा वो हम ले ले बीच में से, वो रिलीजियसली, वो पहले क्या होता था कि पहले ये लोग बोलते थे, बीच के ज़माने में ये बात आ गई कि बहुत सारे बच्चे होने चाहिए, लेकिन जो हमारे पहले के ज़माने में था तो इन आवर पुराण्स एंड ऑल दैट यू डिड नॉट हैव मेनी चिल्ड्रन, द फैमिलीज वर वेरी स्मॉल फैमिलीज, या. सो अभी क्या हो रहा है कि अब राजस्थान में जाए और गोवा में जाए, तो when you talk to women collectors or in the bank managers, then you see this change.
अच्छा, नहीं आपसे जो one question I have want to ask you is कि ये मुझे होता है 52 लाख jobs चाहिए to employ the people at this point of time. क्या आप समझते हैं कि Indian economy in this situation is able to 52 लाख job, और ये सारी skilled level की jobs भी हैं इसके अंदर?
Provided we again refocus attention not on a secular mode but spiritual mode, yes, definitely. I have got tremendous faith in that nation and the people in that nation. One other point I must raise is this: the women are now coming back in force. They're taking revenge. For 1,000 years they've been oppressed. Now you can see the Trupti is kind of already rolling up her sleeves. Women are coming back in with revenge because now initially they were used as factories for producing children.
Yes, absolutely.
And now they are saying we are not factories. We are workers. We have our own businesses to run, etc. So the women are coming back in force and deciding how many children to have. And this is happening naturally, organically, and that's why I love this nation. It's stirring up, and it's at the moment what I see now is not just one individual or one political party. That nation is stirring up.
अच्छा, मुझे एक जवाब दे. चाइना हैड अ 1 चाइल्ड पॉलिसी और उन्होंने अभी डिसबैन किया बिकॉज चाइना ने ग्रोथ किया, वो लोग बेसिकली पॉवर्टी से ऊपर अपने लोग लेकर आए और अब उनको बेसिकली तो उन्होंने 2 चाइल्ड पॉलिसी. क्या इंडिया को 1 चाइल्ड पॉलिसी की जरूरत है इस वक्त?
इंडिया को 1 चाइल्ड पॉलिसी की जरूरत नहीं है.
बात हम करेंगे.
इंडिया हैज गॉट the holistic approach of the upbringing the whole society.
Just 10 seconds.
Yes, no, I think we should not impose such kind of governmental regulation. China made do it, but India is a very individualistic country. It will not impose such kind of government policy on its population.
Okay. So, viewers, I hope you would kind of understand what the debate was today. और हमने ये देखा है कि जो कंसेंसस है वो ये है कि पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ बहुत बेहतर हो सकती है इंडिया की तरक्की के लिए आगे एंड इट कैन टेक द नेशन टू द नेक्स्ट लेवल बिकॉज इफ वी आर एबल टू यूज दैट पॉपुलेशन दैट डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड दिस पॉपुलेशन कैन बी वेरी यूजफुल सो जॉइन अस नेक्स्ट ट्यूसडे अगेन ऑन द इनसाइट वेयर वील डिबेट द इश्यूज एंड विल गेट मोर इनसाइट थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर टुडे